You're getting stuck with a war, and you're getting stuck with a lot of debt and a bad economy. And no matter where I went on the campuses, I said, we can get ourselves out of this. And I believe we can. I'm not optimistic we will shortly, but we could. And that is take upon ourselves the whole principle of the foreign policy of interventionism. $1 trillion we spend a year to maintain over 700 bases in 130 countries. And there's room there. And I argue, not exactly the perfect libertarian position, but I argue, don't cut medical care. Don't cut any benefits at here home. Quit blowing up bridges in Iraq and rebuilding bridges in Iraq. Build bridges here at home before you do that. And I said, you can save this money, and young people, we ought to offer you a chance to get out of the system. Take care of your medical benefits and get out of Social Security. They understand it, and they know that they'll do it. And young people were very receptive to the idea of self-reliance and making their own decisions. And when I talked to them about making their own decisions about their personal life, and how did it ever come that we have allowed our government to deal with our personal lives, what we ingest in our bodies, our drugs and food and everything else. At the same time, we still, to a degree, allow most of us to ingest what we put into our brain and into our soul. But all of a sudden, somewhere along the way, we decided that the government was going to tell you what to do with your life and what to do with your money. And they responded very well to the whole idea that we need to put freedom back together again. We need to take that group of people who think they're better on defending economic liberty, and even those who claim aren't very good, and others who say, yes, I'll defend personal liberty and personal social choices. And this is one issue. This is one thing, because you have a natural, God-given right to your life and to your liberty, and it's up to you how to spend your life, and you have a right to spend the money, the fruits of your labor, and it's up to you. And the young people are responding. The biggest challenge our movement has today, between now and the election, is whether or not we can peel off some of that youth support for Obama. Because he has the same appeal, something new and different, but no specifics. No specifics whatsoever. And, of course, those lack of specifics that he has will never be pointed out by McCain, because he endorses everything, you know, that Obama supports. It's just a matter of phrasing it and who's going to get the power and all that. So, as I say, there's reason to be optimistic. There is so much enthusiasm there. The work has been done. The remnant is larger, but the young people are joining. And so instead of being discouraged, what we need to do is be really encouraged. Some people say, well, yeah, you should be encouraged and you should still be doing this and you should still be running on third party and all that. Nope, it's something else. There's going to be other things. We're going to have a grand rally and a celebration on what we did on September 2nd up in Minneapolis, and we're not going to crash their party, but we may well have a bigger party than they had up there. So, you know, we can creep along. There'll be a few of us and hundreds and maybe thousands, but now we have millions. We literally have millions. In this primary, we got people in the roughest primary you could talk about to take on the warmongers and have people vote in a Republican primary and get essentially 1.2 million voters to commit in a Republican primary. But I'm convinced also that for everyone there are 2 or 3 or 4. If we have 1 solid million there, we may have 3. And like I said, no, we all know we can't count them. But we might have 3 or 4 or 5 million people out there. And when I go through the airports, let me tell you, they don't look like Republicans. They're bag hops. And one time I've never had my shoes shined at the airport. But now the shoe shine guys are always waving to me and cheering me on. But the other one that is so strange, and I feel guilty about this, and that is because I don't like, I voted against the TSA, you know. And, but you know what? There are people. But you know, it's sort of like we can criticize the CIA, but there are some good people in the CIA. And so at the TSA, I go through there. I can't imagine so many of them come up, wow, I really love what you're doing. So they're people, and they took a job. So, I mean, the field is wide open, and it's big. And if we can go from hundreds of thousands of individuals who knew about it, to others who knew about it and said nothing and didn't know there were other people, to the point now where we literally have millions, we just have to keep this momentum going. And I'm going to do my best. People say, what are you going to do? Well, I do what I have to do. And other people in the audience say, well, what should I do? Well, do what you have to do. Bumper does what he has to do. Bumper does what he has to do, and our meetup groups are going to continue, and our Facebook, and they're all going to continue, but it will not be top down. There will be no marching orders other than the fact of try to bring together for the same viewpoints. We're coming together for the defense of liberty, which means, you know, a sound economy and sound money, personal liberty, and very importantly, a foreign policy that makes a lot of sense. It would make this world a lot more peaceful. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
So if you would, does anybody have any questions right now? Is it working?
You know, Congressman, I'm interested in what happened to Rudy Giuliani. And some people say that he didn't campaign when he should have. But I think it has something to do with the debate that you challenged him to on 9/11 and he failed to respond to. And I'm wondering if you can comment on that.
Well, I don't know. That might have had a little bit to do with it. I don't think that was it. I think he just didn't have the votes. But, you know, he was rather challenging in one of the debates, and that was one of those moments of ridicule that took me a few minutes. It took me about 5 minutes later, and I remember my staff came up and said, you're winning the post-debate polls, so it didn't turn out so bad. But, you know, and I talk about the mayor on occasion. I said, you know, he was a front runner, for 6 months? Well, it turned out that we had probably 4 or 5 times more votes in the primary than he got. And also, he has debt. He's paying off debt right now. And I bet his T-shirts aren't selling all that well either.
Yes, you mentioned the word change, and when I bought your book, I mean, that was the question I have. I mean, we've been hearing change from Obama. If you could confront Mr. Obama tomorrow, how would you pin him down when he uses that word change?
Well, I probably wouldn't do it directly as much as I would go to his supporter if I was addressing supporters or the audience. That change means nothing. It's just a word, and it's a cliche. And just to repeat it has no meaning. You have to say, what are you going to change? And I would argue, you offer no change. You have the same foreign policy. You want more troops in Afghanistan. You're not talking about only going to war with a declaration. You don't want to deal with the monetary, financial crisis in this country. You want to keep, you know, the system together for the benefit of the banks and the big corporations and the politicians, you know, that argument. And what kind of change do you have on social policy? Do you care about sick people using marijuana? I mean, have you come out for that? You know, and I would just hit him hard on the fact that he doesn't want change. He wants the status quo. And just saying it means nothing, but he has a lot of supporters. And the one time I was asked to comment about him, I actually tried to be, you know, fairly soft on him, but concluded that we have a lot of differences. But I tried to acknowledge that his supporters and my supporters have a lot of overlap, and they do. So in declaring what I just said, I think it has to be done in somewhat of a diplomatic and then to appeal to reason and say, look, if you want change, what you need is somebody that's going to make sure you're never going to have a draft and that we're going to bring our troops home, we're going to balance the budget, we're going to have sound money. He never talks about any of that.
Maybe you could convert him.
Well, no, he probably doesn't have real solid beliefs. He'll be converted when we convert his young people. That's what will convert. The politicians in Washington don't have much philosophy, probably never will, but that's all right. That's why we have a chance by converting people's hearts and minds, and that's where we've made our progress.
Hey, Dr. Paul. I was wondering if you could comment on your reception internationally, especially in the Arabic world.
A little closer and a lot.
Oh, sorry. I was wondering if you could comment on your reception internationally, especially in the Arabic world.